Your focus sharpens, your fear shrinks, and your strength multiplies. How? You wake up and decide, today is already mine. In just a few moments, I will teach you how to act with certainty, lead with belief, and command powerful outcomes daily. Have you ever considered how your outcomes would change if you treated every opportunity as though it were destined for your good? What if your thoughts spoke in this language? Everything is unfolding for my benefit. Nothing is wasted. Every delay has direction. You are not a spectator in this life. You are a sculptor. And the first tool is your belief. Act accordingly. The world bends to the man who moves with certainty. You've seen it. A man walks into a room, and without saying a word, the air shifts. People listen not because he demands it, but because he believes in the weight of his purpose. He acts not with arrogance, but with certainty. And certainty is magnetic. It is not luck that opens doors. It is clarity. It is conviction. Most men tiptoe around their dreams, asking permission, but power does not wait. Power walks in. It declares its intent. It does not ask, can I? It says, watch me. Why does the world respond differently to such a man? Because the world mirrors your expectation. It is not your potential that people recognize, it is your posture. When you act as if everything always works out for you, you signal to life that you are ready to receive. You become a force, a signal tower, not broadcasting desperation, but assurance. You stop chasing outcomes and start choosing them. Now picture this you standing at the edge of a new endeavor. It is risky. You don't have every answer, but instead of shrinking, you breathe deep and declare, this will serve me. This will prosper. And so it does. Have you ever wondered how many dreams you abandoned, not because they failed, but because you doubted too soon? What would your life look like if you treated every goal as inevitable? If you held your head not with pride, but with purpose, you must become the kind of person who does not require the world's approval to believe in your path. Act as if the outcome is already settled and the world will rush to meet you halfway. Consistency confirms your commitment. A single act of courage can spark admiration, but consistent action earns trust, especially the trust you build with yourself. Discipline is not just about rules or sacrifice. It is how you prove to your own soul that you are serious. It is the evidence that your words carry weight. Men are often moved by emotion. Inspiration strikes, and for a day or two, fire burns in the chest. But what transforms a man is not a flash, it is a rhythm, a steady, pounding rhythm, the pulse of daily devotion to something greater than comfort, greater than feeling, greater than ease. Why is this so powerful? Because consistency builds reputation, not just with the world, but with the one person who must believe in you above all others, you. Every time you rise before the sun, every time you choose the hard path, every time you follow through, especially when it is inconvenient, you are casting a vote for your identity. You are saying, I am who I said I would be. That kind of integrity is rare, and it is priceless. It is the foundation upon which unshakable self-belief is built. Think of the blacksmith. His finest sword is not formed in one mighty strike, but in thousands. Blow after blow, heat, hammer, repeat. Repetition shapes the steel. Just as repetition shapes your soul, your skill, your story. You don't need brilliance every day. You need faithfulness. Ask yourself, are your habits confirming your identity or contradicting it? Do your actions align with your ambition, or do they quietly mock it? Talk is cheap. Patterns reveal the truth. The man who acts as if everything works out for him does not stop when motivation runs dry. He does not quit when applause is absent. He continues because he knows the work is shaping the man, even when the results feel far away, even when no one notices, especially then. This is the secret. Do not seek occasional greatness. Seek daily faithfulness. Greatness is not one moment. It is built in the shadows, in the quiet repetition, in the consistency that most will never see. That is how legacies are born, not in bursts of brilliance, but in the quiet courage to keep showing up. So show up today, not because you feel like it, but because you said you would. And let that be enough, because one faithful day becomes a faithful year, and faithful years build lives that cannot be shaken. You become what you prepare, for preparation is faith in action. It is not passive hope, it is bold expectation. When you prepare, you do not merely wish for a better life, you build toward it. You say through your action, I am ready for what I have not yet received. Such readiness is not born from circumstances, but from conviction. You do not wait to be noticed. You do not wait to be chosen. You move as though your moment has already arrived. This is not delusion, it is discipline. For preparation rewires your identity. It does not just change your results. It transforms yourself. The man who lifts iron daily is no longer a beginner, he is an athlete. The woman who writes before dawn is no longer an amateur, she is an author. The line between becoming and being is crossed not in public recognition, but in private consistency. When you act as if everything works out for you, you stop waiting for the stars to align. You become the force that aligns them. You do not wait for the perfect day, you build a perfect habit. You do not wait for permission, you give it to yourself. You prepare not because doors are open, but because you believe they will open and you want to be ready when they do. Consider a man who dreams of launching a business. If he waits for investors, for approval, for certainty, his dream decays in delay. But if he begins now learning, solving, designing, he is no longer a dreamer. He is a builder. Or imagine a young woman with the vision of becoming a teacher. Though she has no students, she studies. She teaches in small places. She practices her voice. The world may not yet see her as a teacher, but she already is. What habits today mirror the person you say you were becoming? Would a great leader sleep in and drift through the day? Or would he rise with purpose, aware that his every step echoes into the future? Would a wise mentor gossip and complain or study and serve? Preparation is not just an action, it is a mirror. It reflects who you believe yourself to be. Ask yourself daily, are you preparing for your future or postponing it? Are your rituals aligned with your vision or your fears? A man rehearsing greatness will not spend his morning in laziness. A woman preparing for excellence will not waste her evening in distraction. You are always rehearsing something. Make sure it is what you want to become, because you will become it. The future belongs not to those who wait, but to those who prepare. The seed planted in obscurity will bloom in its season, but only if it was planted, only if it was watered, only if it was tended with faith. Do not wait for life to choose you, choose yourself. Practice for the crowd that has come. Write for the readers who don't yet exist. Prepare not because success is certain, but because you are certain enough to act. That is faith. That is power. You become the future you are rehearsing today. So rehearse with excellence. Rehearse with courage. Rehearse with expectation. Prepare, and the future will not catch you off guard. It will find you ready. Resilience is built before the storm arrives. When the winds rise and the storms come, the unprepared fall to their knees. But the man who has trained himself to expect triumph even in trial, he does not bend. He does not beg for calm. He becomes it. He is not at the mercy of the world. Whether he is its match. Most people are tossed about by the conditions around them. Their joy is dictated by ease. Their identity sways with each challenge. But those who are built for greatness do not move with the mood of the moment. They anchor themselves to deeper truths. They are not made in moments of ease, but in the fire of adversity. Understand this. Greatness is never measured in still waters. It is revealed in the storm. The strongest trees do not grow in sheltered gardens. They stretch their roots deep in the soil, where the wind rages loudest, where the earth shakes and dares them to fall. But they do not. They endure, and so must you. You must live with the mindset that the setback is part of the setup, that every fall is a forging, that adversity is not your enemy, it is your assignment. Life does not come to break you. It comes to build you. You have seen examples of this strength. A man loses his job, yet he still walks with his head high. Why? Because his dignity is not tied to his position. A woman is diagnosed with illness, yet she comforts others in her pain. Why? Because she decided long ago she would not be a victim of circumstance. She would be a vessel of victory. What if you looked at your struggles and whispered, "Even this will serve me"? What if you turned each rejection into redirection? What if every closed door simply became proof that something better is being built behind it? You were not born to crumble. You were not born to retreat. You were born to rise. That is not arrogance, it is alignment. It is recognizing that within you lives a spirit stronger than the storm. Resilience is not something you earn when life is generous. It is something you develop when life is not. It is forged when plans fall apart, when people leave, when nights are long and answers are silent. It is in those moments you discover you are not weak, you are becoming. Imagine what would happen if you treated every loss as a lesson, every disappointment as a doorway. How different would your life be if you walked into adversity not with fear, but with faith? Faith that this is making you stronger. Faith that this too has purpose. Will you let your pain write your story, or will you pick up the pen and write something greater with it? You must not run from hardship. You must walk through it with the quiet confidence of a soul being refined, not ruined. Let others seek comfort. Let them chase calm seas. You, however, must seek character. You must choose to grow where others would give up. The winds will blow, the rains will fall, but if you are rooted, if you are resolved, you will not be moved. Resilience is not found in the easy path. It is born in pressure. It is carried in pain, and it shines brightest not when the sun returns, but when the clouds remain. So walk forward through trial, through trouble, through tears if needed. But walk, because resilience is not a trophy for the lucky. It is the trademark of the strong, and it already lives within you. You set the price of your life by the standard you accept. A man cannot rise above the expectations he refuses to challenge. You cannot fly while clinging to ceilings built by fear or limits handed down by those who never dared to climb. If you accept scraps, the world will offer nothing but crumbs. But if you demand excellence starting with your own reflection, the world must adjust its offer. Too many live waiting for the promotion, for recognition, for someone to discover their worth and shine a light on their hidden potential. But that wait is a trap, because life does not reward the passive, it rewards the persistent. It is not enough to hope to be seen. You must stand in such a way that you cannot be ignored. Do not wait to be told your value. Declare it, not with empty words, but with consistent action. With early mornings, with focused work, with habits that speak louder than your resume ever could. Every time you show up with discipline, you raise your value. Every time you say no to mediocrity, you sharpen your edge. When you act as if everything works out for you, it is not arrogance, it is alignment with purpose. You stop apologizing for your ambition. You stop explaining your dreams to those who cannot see beyond the now. You walk tall, you speak clearly, and you move forward with the calm confidence of one who has already counted the cost and is willing to pay it. Consider this. What if your current results are not proof of your limit, but proof of your standard? What if your life is not stuck, but simply plateaued at the level of your expectations? Raise those expectations and watch everything rise with them. Your income, your relationships, your inner peace, because the world reflects what you project. Excellence is not about impressing others. It is about honoring the gift of potential. When you raise the bar on your habits, when you tighten your focus, sharpen your schedule, and refine your discipline, you begin to attract a different reality. Opportunities no longer pass you by. People no longer overlook you because your standard commands attention. And let us be honest, are you living beneath your potential because you fear being seen? Is your light dim because you worry how others will respond to its shine? If so, remember this: you were not born to blend in, you were born to build, to shape, to lead. And leaders do not shrink, they rise. The market, whether of money, respect, or opportunity, pays what you demand, but it listens first to what you demand of yourself. So demand more focus, more consistency, more resilience. Do not ask the world to value you more if you do not first show that you value yourself. This is not about pride. It is about principle. The principle that you are the thermostat of your destiny, not the thermometer of your conditions. You set the tone. You raise the heat, and the world must rise to meet it or be left behind. So raise your standard. Speak less, execute more, dream bigger, prepare harder, and never, ever settle for the level you've outgrown, because the ceiling you challenge today becomes the floor you stand on tomorrow. Do not just wish for more. Become more. The world is watching, and it always pays those who dare to raise the price. Gratitude is the language of expectation. When you are thankful for what has not yet arrived, you send a powerful message to life itself. I trust it, already on the way. Gratitude, in its highest form, is not just a reaction to goodness, it is a prophecy. It is a declaration made in advance. It is a man shaking hands with destiny before the appointment has begun. It is faith in action wrapped in thankfulness. Anyone can be grateful when the harvest is in, when the table is full, when all prayers seem answered. But what of the man who is still waiting, still working, still walking through uncertainty? That man, if he can say thank you before the evidence appears, he possesses the kind of strength that moves mountains, because his gratitude is not based on current comfort, but future certainty. Gratitude changes you. It shifts the atmosphere of your mind. Instead of fixating on what is absent, you begin to notice what is present. You move your gaze from scarcity to sufficiency, from worry to worship. And as your vision changes, so does your posture. You begin to walk taller, speak softer, wait with patience, and work with power. Imagine if tomorrow you rose with gratitude for the strength you would need, the wisdom you hadn't yet received, and the breakthrough still waiting to unfold. What kind of man would you be? What kind of courage would carry you? You would not wake in fear, you would rise in faith. Gratitude is not passive. It is the voice of a man who is aligned with his calling. It does not whisper doubts. It declares promises. It is a bold acknowledgement that what you seek is already seeking you. And in that alignment, doors open, paths clear, and provision begins to flow. Not because life has suddenly become easier, but because your spirit has become stronger. Consider this. When you thank the heavens in advance, your actions begin to follow suit. You prepare differently. You expect differently. You treat each hour as if it carries the seeds of something sacred, because it does. The future is shaped in moments like this, in morning prayers, in unseen sacrifices, in words of thanks uttered in the silence. To live in this way is to become magnetic to blessings. You are no longer chasing favor, it is drawn to you, because gratitude creates gravity. And gravity draws the right things, the right people, the right moments into your orbit. But it requires a choice. You can walk through your day like one owed nothing, hunched by disappointment and doubt. Or you can walk like a man already blessed, head high, eyes forward, hands open. One posture invites anxiety. The other invites miracles. Speak your thanks now, not for what has been delivered, but for what is being prepared. Thank the heavens for wisdom you have not yet learned, for victories you have not yet claimed, and for strength you have not yet needed. This is not fantasy. This is faith. The universe responds to the man who moves with certainty, and certainty is born from gratitude. So live today, not in reaction, but in revelation. See your life not as lacking, but as loading, and thank life for what is coming, with the quiet authority of a man who knows what he seeks is already his, and it is only a matter of time until it arrives. Energy flows where attention commands. What you focus on expands. It is not merely a mental trick, it is a fundamental law of life. Wherever your attention rests, energy flows. If your eyes are fixed on problems, those problems grow, taking root in your thoughts and casting shadows over your choices. But if your vision is anchored in possibility, if you choose to look toward what could be instead of what has gone wrong, new doors begin to appear where before there were only walls. You must understand this clearly. Attention is power, and power always multiplies what it touches. A man focused on defeat becomes a prisoner of his fears, but a man focused on opportunity becomes an architect of solutions. The same moment, the same challenge, the same life, entirely different outcomes based solely on where you choose to place your gaze. This is why those who act as if everything always works out for them often find that it does. Not because they possess some secret privilege, but because they have trained their eyes to search for light even in tunnels. They look not for the reason to stop, but the reason to start. They expect something good to come of every trial, and expectation creates momentum. Why does this matter? Because your mind is a loyal servant. It does not question the orders you give, it fulfills them. Feed it fear, and it will find you more things to fear. Feed it scarcity, and it will convince you to cling to what little you have. But feed it vision true, compelling, courageous vision, and it will conspire with boldness and grit to help you move. Picture yourself in a forest at night. Two trails lie before you. One is rocky and filled with thorns, clearly difficult. The other is veiled in mist, uncertain, untested, but glimmering with the promise of something more. Most people freeze. They wait for clarity before they move. But you must be different. You must believe that the path will become visible as you walk, that the right steps will appear not before, but because you move. What have you been staring at lately? What fears have you fed until they became giants? What dreams have you dismissed, not because they were impossible, but because they weren't yet clear? Every focus is a seed, and over time, what you feed, you grow. If you fix your thoughts on setbacks, you become defined by them, but if you fix your thoughts on strength, even your weakness becomes training. Your vision becomes your compass, and your belief becomes the bridge between where you are and where you are meant to go. Focus is not denial, it is direction. It does not ignore reality, it simply chooses which part of reality to magnify. Will you spend your strength reinforcing your fears or rehearsing your future? Shift your focus, and you shift your fate. Begin to see problems as invitations, Begin to see obstacles as opportunities to demonstrate your strength. Let your thoughts dwell not on what has ended, but on what is beginning. You have more power than you realize. Not in changing every circumstance, but in changing the way you see it. And when your eyes are locked on growth, on possibility, on vision, everything else begins to follow. The path you seek is not revealed to the hesitant. It is given to the bold. So fix your eyes on where you're going, not what you're fearing, and walk. The trail will meet you. Silence builds the architecture of clarity. There is a moment before the world awakens, a sliver of silence before the noise, the voices, the demands, a sacred hush before duty reaches out its hands. In that space, your mind stands uncluttered, and it is here, in this stillness, that truth waits patiently to be heard. It is here that the man who acts as if everything works out for him begins his day not by reacting but by receiving. He does not begin with emails or complaints. He does not wake up to the weight of yesterday. Instead, he checks in with his purpose. He aligns with his identity. His first appointment is not with the world, but with himself. Why is this so powerful? Because clarity is rare. And where there is no clarity, confusion reigns. But clarity is the soil from which conviction grows. And conviction, not circumstance, is what decides your direction. You can give a man tools, but without clarity, he builds someone else's dream. A man with no time to think is a man with no time to lead. Now imagine you gave yourself just 20 minutes each morning, not to rush, not to scroll, not to fill the silence, but to sit in it, to breathe, to listen, to write, to ask, what matters most today? What would make today meaningful? How will I show up not just as a worker, but as a warrior of purpose? You begin to see that clarity is not a luxury. It is a strategy. It is not about peace for peace as sake, but peace as a platform. Because from silence, decisions are born. From stillness, strength rises. The man who commands his thoughts before they command him becomes a builder of days, not a victim of them. In that quiet space, you do more than plan, you prepare. You do more than review. You rehearse the man you are becoming. Each morning becomes a rehearsal for the life you intend to live. You are no longer guessing. You are guiding. You are not waking to the world as script. You are writing your own. Consider the advantage this gives you. When others wake to chaos, you rise in calm. While they run toward noise, you walk with knowing. You are no longer chasing alignment. You are anchored in it. The man who is still while others are scattered always makes the sharper decision. He sees with a longer lens. He speaks with a measured voice. He leads with a centered heart. This is why you must protect your mornings, not for productivity alone, but for power, for preparation, for clarity. The most dangerous man is not the one who moves fast, but the one who moves deliberately. And deliberate movement comes from deliberate mornings. Do not fear silence. Enter it. Practice it. Invite it like an old friend. Because it is in silence that your next step becomes clear. It is where greatness is whispered before it is shouted. It is where intention is set before results arrive. Let the world chase noise. You chase necessity. Let them drown in distraction. You rise in design. And when you begin your day in clarity, you don't just live differently, you lead differently. You don't just work harder, you work wiser. You are no longer reacting to life. You are writing it, one still morning at a time. The identity you wear decides the life you build. You do not become successful by accident. No mountain was ever climbed by drifting upward. No legacy was built by luck. You become successful through alignment, through conscious, consistent, deliberate alignment between who you are and where you are going. Every day, in small and invisible ways, you are casting a vote for your future or against it, not